Welcome to the show.
Bitcoin, right?
Smooth.
It changed.
That's a funny word.
Bitcoin's been around for a while, but something's been shaking things up.
Let me tell you about it. Do you know what Bitcoin is?
Yeah.
It's an online cryptocurrency.
Man, I started reading about Bitcoin. It is not simple.
It's code that's
how about
money.
those blockchains?
Oh, how about those blockchains? Am I right? Seriously. So let me tell you about Bitcoin, because I was like,
Oh, it's getting hot.
Bitcoin was splitting in two, right? I was like, why? And it said all these things. I didn't know what any of them meant. So then I read about what Bitcoin is. It still doesn't make much sense, but here we go. Don't ask me too many questions.
We're in for a ride, guys.
Strap yourselves in. All right. So Bitcoin, right? A Bitcoin is essentially like a list of transactions,
Right.
and it gets exchanged back and forth.
Right.
And it's got on that list is yours and everyone's name and balance
Sure.
of Bitcoins, and everyone can see it, and you trade it back and forth. So the network gathers all these transactions into a list.
Mm.
Because people send, I'll send you a Bitcoin, you'll send Ali a Bitcoin, Ali will send,
Am I
Dip
getting
a Bitcoin?
Am I getting money for these?
Ev will
Bitcoins?
send Yeech a big Bitcoin.
Each.
Yeech?
Who's that?
It's huge.
What's that supposed to be?
So and all these Bitcoins bouncing around,
Yep.
and the network writes it down into a nice list.
Yep.
And then, but maybe some sneaky devil could come in and be like, ooh, I'm just going to change that around so it sent me some Bitcoins.
Right.
That's not good. So what are we going to do? So these blokes, these miners, not children, miners, like in a mine,
Like Minecraft.
Right.
like Minecraft, they got to confirm these transactions into this thing called a ledger. And the ledger is like, it's a block, and then all the ledgers in a block, and then they form like a big chain of blocks called
A blockchain.
a blockchain.
Wow.
All right,
Makes
It's a
sense.
less interesting form of block war.
everyone, yeah, a block what?
Isn't that where the blocks fight each other?
I don't know.
Talking about Pong.
I think you're talking about Minecraft still.
I was talking about Judge Dredd.
So the bad guys are coming, so we got to make sure they can't adjust the transaction list to
Yep.
steal your Bitcoins.
Correct.
So the miners, they take this block
Mm-hmm.
and they run it through a formula to get this thing called a hash.
Ooh. Is
And-
that the crypto and cryptocurrency?
Did you say hash?
Is that
Hash.
what you eat it and you get high off it?
No,
a sheesh?
no.
Like a hash brown?
A hash is it's like a unique code. It's a shorter sequence of numbers and letters.
Like a hashtag.
Sure. So they get this thing called a hash, and then it's like a little code, and they mine it out. They're mining.
Yep.
So they gotta put it through, crunch the numbers, and they get a hash. And then for every transaction, there's a hash. And because the transactions are these big mountains of letters and numbers,
Sure.
so they crunch it down into a little code, and then if anything in the transaction changes, the hash will change, and that's how they know if someone's messing with the system.
Mm.
So, and then miners who are doing that, which could be you and me sitting at home on my computer,
Yep.
crunching the numbers.
So they're running an algorithm that takes a lot of time and eventually it pops out this hash.
Yeah.
Right.
And
Okay.
they, in return, they get Bitcoins.
Mm.
Right.
So computing processing makes Bitcoin.
I think the original idea was that you could create a monetary system where money was defined by computing power.
Right.
So basically,
And-
a Bitcoin is in relation to
Yeah.
like this much computing power has gone into creating this Bitcoin because it's a finite resource. It therefore can be it can have a value.
It's like time equals money. Except
Yeah, because the algorithms get exponentially more complicated. So it used to be a lot easier to mine Bitcoin, but
Yeah.
now it's like you got thousands of supercomputers working on it to make like a little bit.
So
Is
it's
the
pretty much limited.
And
now.
Bitcoin made it harder for them as well. So they can't just say, go computer, give me all of the hashes.
Yeah, the algorithm gets harder and harder to
Yeah.
solve with.
It's interesting in that.
Right?
So they need something called a nonce.
What, sorry?
A nonce.
That's a funny word.
What's a
That's-
nonce?
It's a funny word.
That should be on the list. Put that on the list, Ali.
Look, I didn't really understand what they were saying, but Bitcoin made it harder for the miners, and they did it by giving them a nonce, which is another piece of data that they have to apply to their hash.
So they made it even harder to calculate.
Yes, so each hash has like a
Has
certain
to have
amount of
nonce.
zeros in front of it, which come from using this, I don't know,
Enunciator.
not some sort of nonce.
What's interesting is that miners get Bitcoin by protecting Bitcoin itself, because what they're doing is making sure that the transactions are correct,
Secure.
and in return they get
Yeah,
the
Bitcoin.
currency, which is kind of
Right.
cool. It's a
So
cool
the currency
concept.
is linked to its own security.
Yeah, so
Which makes sense because it's a cryptocurrency.
yeah, it's
Okay.
interesting.
The processing that it's doing, is it actually doing anything besides just making numbers? As in, like, useful?
It's solving a really complicated algorithm. So
yeah.
basically, it's tying the coin's value to your power, like computing power.
And it's keeping it safe. So no one can change the algorithm. So they're keeping track of it. But so all the hashes go into the network as well, so that they can keep track of if anyone changes any transactions back up the blockchain back here. Because they go into the blockchain while they're waiting to be processed. Because I'll send Jono money, Jono bitcoins, and he'll send it him, everyone send these bitcoins, but they can't get processed instantly. So the blockchain's there waiting, and they'll get processed slowly. But back up here, someone might try and change the algorithm so it says, Jono didn't send me 3 bitcoins, he actually sent Hacker Joe 7 bitcoins.
Bloody hacker.
Hacker Joe at it again.
And so the miner's there and they're like, oh, someone's changed the hash. This is not wrong.
So no
Get
one
rid
would
of
be
that.
actually looking at the computer program itself knows that can't
That's right.
happen.
So the question I have is, if people stopped mining Bitcoin, would the system fail?
No, it would just get more and more expensive to buy a Bitcoin because it's got a certain amount of supply, and then it just depends on
how would
much
the
cost.
system know if the transactions are being altered or not if there's no one mining?
You can
for
still
Bitcoin?
exchange them without a new hash. I don't feel like you need it. You don't need to solve the algorithm to exchange a Bitcoin.
Told you
That's
guys
how
not
you
to
have
ask
like
me
coin
questions.
wallets and there's exchanges
Right,
and stuff.
yeah.
I don't think it's tied into computing power to
Mm.
exchange the Bitcoin just to create the Bitcoin.
So it's a virtual currency that does not exist in physical form.
No, it's in your digital wallet. Which is
Real
So
money
also
doesn't
your
really
key.
exist in physical form either.
That's right.
We don't
It's-
have a gold standard. There's a computer somewhere that stores how much money you have in the bank and
Mm.
stores how much money all banks have in their bank.
True.
So the miners, they're doing this, and they do it like competitively. But every 4 years, the reward that they get for their mining is cut in half. And there's like this website that's like counting down to the next halving.
Wow.
It was,
And then it becomes a lot less.
yeah, and I was like,
economic.
Wow.
I was
That's
like-
interesting.
there was like rocket ship and a countdown. I
Is
don't
that
know
just
what
like
it is.
inflation as why I get cut in half?
I don't really understand basic economics, so
Right.
just don't ask me.
Makes sense.
So what have they done now?
Okay, so it's in the news now
So
because
that blockchain problem is what brought this
a
about.
block in a blockchain has a limit of 1 megabyte.
Yeah.
And so this limit means there can be like 7 transactions a second. So, so when you have bitcoins, you have to keep this ledger of transactions, and that's like your Bitcoin, and that's heaps of gigabytes a month that it's taking up. So some people want to increase this limit because it's an artificial limit. They just like said that no, we're putting this limit on because we want everyone to be able to do it. We don't just want Hacker Joe sitting there with his mountainous supercomputers
Because they would
just
devalue.
going nuts. We want you to be able to do it at home on your PC. We want Yachin to be able to do it from his mum's basement.
So it's like a salary cap, sort of.
No, this is more to expand the capacity of the currency.
Right.
Yeah, so spread it around. But people, they've been arguing about it for like 2 years. So they want to up the limit but if they up the limit, then it means people would need more storage and more bandwidth, so it become less accessible. And a lot of it's coming out of China. The Chinese are pushing this.
Bloody Chinese.
So you have to keep your wallet on a huge hard drive, is that what you're saying?
No,
Oh, my-
everyone's wallets are online.
No, it's a
Right.
very, very small file.
Oh.
Yeah. Like mere bytes.
Don't you use a digital wallet like it's online?
Yeah.
Like, don't
But
you
so-
store them at I was
is,
looking it up. There's lots of
yeah.
exchanges, and then they provide digital wallets so
Yep.
you can keep your bitcoins in
Correct,
the
yeah.
digital wallet.
So it's like
And
getting
one of them
a-
got hacked like 2 years
Yeah.
ago, and it was like a big deal because like
A lot of
so many millions of dollars worth of bitcoins
Yeah,
went missing.
when it first blew up, there was a lot of Bitcoin banks opening up who
Mm.
would sort of oversee the transactions, and a lot of them actually got robbed.
Right.
And they said that, and the thing is, like, we don't know because it's all happening virtually.
Mm.
Like, someone could steal $1 trillion tomorrow and you wouldn't know, right? Because it's just numbers on a computer. So there was a Japanese-based Bitcoin bank which was at the time the biggest, and they had like 60% of their, like, the Bitcoin that they had stolen.
Mm.
Just people hacking, and the hacker, like, it was literally millions of dollars.
Yeah.
Which is just insane.
So you can steal it.
Mm.
There is a way
Yeah.
to take it.
Stealing, I think. Yeah.
But I think it's getting, as the algorithm gets worse, that's also getting harder and harder.
Right, to steal them.
Yeah.
It seems like it'd be really hard to do without getting caught. Like, because there's so much data there.
And
It
I
seems
also,
like everything you have to do, you have to leave data or change the data somehow.
I also feel like
Yeah.
lots of it's like on the darker side of the internet.
It is on the
so
dark
like,
side of the internet, yeah.
If you get
It's
caught,
the currency of the dark
you
web,
call
right?
it internet cops.
It is,
I don't
yeah.
know.
It is. I was about to say the same thing, Ali. Like, you would think, like, oh, they would get caught, but if you think about it, like, caught by who? It's a currency that's online.
Musk.
You know,
True.
who's the online police? You know, and technically it doesn't fall under anyone's jurisdiction because it's online.
Countries have to be trying to catch up with the law on this sort of stuff.
The
though,
FBI
sure.
do have, like, when that happened, the reason they got busted was because they were caught by the FBI cyber police. So people do try, but it's an interesting idea.
The
of,
FBI would be more interested though because it gets used to pay for stuff that's
Exactly.
illegal.
Exactly.
Because it's an untraceable form of money.
Exactly, yeah.
You can pay for illicit stuff without it getting tracked back to your bank account or
Yep.
something like that.
So it's in the news this week because Bitcoin is now forked off into two things: Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash.
Fuck you.
Fork. So if you had 10 Bitcoins, you now have 10 Bitcoins and 10 Bitcoin Cashes.
Whoa.
Oh, they gave you both.
Yeah, but some wallets don't support Bitcoin Cash.
Oh, what the hell do they do then?
They just keep
They
their
didn't
Bitcoins. They,
Does that mean people have double their money?
No, because the
No.
value of the bitcoins went down commensurately to the increase in value of the bitcoin account.
but it's a slow start.
And it's still worth it.
But then you don't
less.
know what's going to happen. Like they might
Yeah.
just both go up, and then
They-
we'll have
They haven't got like that much miner support. It's mostly coming out of China, and it's worth a lot less than Bitcoin. So one Bitcoin at the moment is $3,420.56 Australian cents.
Yep.
And Bitcoin Cash is a couple $100.
So might be a good
still a
time
bit
to
low.
might be a
Yeah.
good time to invest.
Yeah.
Might as well.
Might as well. Yeah, so that's why it's in the news at the moment. So I don't know. People thinking.
It was meant to solve a problem, though, wasn't it?
No, I think they were just arguing about the future of Bitcoin, whether they keep that limit on so everyone can access it, or whether they get the lid off so they can make it faster and bigger
You
transactions.
talk about everyone accessing it, but the difficulty you just had explaining that, like it's so confusing.
Like,
I
it-
get
It is very
confused. And
confusing, yeah.
Like for people to put their money into it and be like, but where is it? Or how safe is it? Or how secure is it? Like there's
yeah.
no way to convey that.
But I'm
like,
confused
simply.
because I'm not technical minded or economically
That's
minded.
most people.
Yeah,
But-
but that's
but-
the general public.
But
yeah.
that's not the limit they're talking about. They're talking
Yeah,
about
no.
a hardware limit.
Yeah, but like
And a
the
monetary
actual
limit.
limit to most people doing it would be just not understanding what it is.
I mean,
Yeah,
and
but
not
that's
wanting
they
to
don't
put
care
money.
about that.
they
They care about.
are becoming more and more accessible, and I think it's just going to take one or a few companies or people who can really explain it in a way where people will get it straight away for it to suddenly turn around and become the norm. But in Sydney, actually, recently they opened up a few ATMs around the city. I think there's 4 or 5 where you could deposit and withdraw bitcoins with cash.
Really?
Yeah,
so
there
you could go.
So you could get bitcoin.
Yeah, you could go up to the ATM and log into your thing
Hmm.
and pull out with the current exchange rate Australian dollar cash from your Bitcoin.
If you deposit, does it put bitcoins into your account?
It does, yeah. So it
So your
converts.
bank is storing bitcoins?
No, it's not linked to a bank.
It's a
Ah,
Bitcoin
okay.
ATM.
Yeah, it's a Bitcoin ATM. Yeah,
So-
so not actual ATM.
But whose
like-
exchange is running that?
that is a good question. It must be one of those Bitcoin banks.
One of the exchanges recently actually partnered with an actual bank in Europe.
Oh, really?
So there's an actual bank in Europe that has a Bitcoin exchange associated with it.
Most Lamborghini dealerships in Italy take Bitcoin.
Really?
You could buy it. Buy a Lambo with your Bitcoin.
Far out.
which I assume some people did, because if they were on it when it was cheap,
I'm sure a lot of
they
people
are
did, yeah.
rolling in it right now.
Nice.
Damn it.
Well, we've hit the hour mark. And look, I still don't get what Bitcoin is. I'm
No idea.
not afraid to say it.
Me neither.
It sounds like you need to be rich enough to hire a person that's smarter than you to do it for you. So that's a barrier to
Or
entry.
just read a lot.
Throw
read
money,
a lot.
throw money at your problem, that fixes everything.
Yeah. How do you think we went, guys? What do you think?
Yeah, good.
I'm Chris.
I'm Ye Chan.
Cool, man.
I'm Jono.
This has been Trend Settings episode 53.
So sad.
Thanks for watching. If you were live, thanks for being live. If you're not, thanks for being here anyway. Thanks for listening. We'll be here next week. Hopefully there'll be more actual stories next week so we don't have to
Hey.
go through the internet and find weird things like Bitcoin and hurt Chris.
Or Hooter.
Tit.
I've never seen your face look more pained.
You look like a mad scientist. I've been up all night.
I went down the hole.
He's like Rick. Morty.
But seriously, I thought I understood it when
And
I
I'm
was
looking at
reading it and
Bitcoin
writing it
Morty.
down. But then I just got it out and read it. And I was like, I have no idea what it is.
All right. Well, thanks for watching / listening. We'll see you next week. This has been Trend Settings. We are Group Settings. I'm Ali.
I'm Ye Chan.
I am Chris.
Jono.
Goodbye.